Belarus, pressure continues to mount on President Alexander Lukashenko over last week's disputed election. Protesters once again took to the streets of Minsk on Tuesday, and a growing number of state sector workers have joined nationwide strikes. Now, opposition leaders are calling for dialogue with the president. Our international correspondent Annalise Borges sent this report from the capital, Minsk.
The Belarusian opposition is getting ready to talk. On Tuesday in the capital, Minsk, they announced the creation of a council comprised of intellectuals, business people, artists and factory workers to mediate the crisis that has engulfed the country for over 1 week now. They say they don't want to take control, but to negotiate a peaceful transition.
We have won, and it's now evident for all to see. And I ask everyone to support the people of Belarus.
In a country where dissent is a punishable offense and where the majority of the opposition is either in jail or in exile,
Annalise Borges for Euronews.
I asked what made this council believe it could bring the government to the negotiating table and if talks had already started.
Have you identified members within the government that could talk to you? Do you think you stand a chance for dialogue with this regime now?
I think if we identify those members immediately and tell you their names, they might be in trouble. So we are waiting for their call, and then we'll talk to them.
So this is a way for you to call them to talk to you? This
Actually, we're calling right now.
President Alexander Lukashenko, who until recently called the opposition a group of, quote, poor little girls who stood no chance to govern the country, described the new coordinating council as a threat.
They demand nothing more and nothing less, to transfer power to them. We regard this unequivocally as an attempt to seize power with all the consequences that this entails.
While the Belarusian political plot thickened, thousands took to Independence Square to demand a free country. That despite the most brutal crackdown waged by authorities in Belarus's recent history. 4 people have been confirmed dead since the unrest started. Olga Kovalkova, the spokesperson for the now exiled opposition leader Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, says Lukashenko must know he's out of options.
Today, Alexander Lukashenko has no choice but to engage in dialogue with the people, because it's either war, which he's been waging the whole week, or dialogue. And so we call him to choose dialogue. It's the right choice.
It's unclear what Lukashenko's choice will be. If the last few days are anything to go by, the embattled president doesn't seem to be ready to go down without a fight. Annalise Borges in Minsk, Euronews.
The Belarusian ambassador to Slovakia has publicly voiced his support for the thousands of protesters rallying against the country's president. On Tuesday, he handed in his resignation, a move indicating growing dissent at a high diplomatic level. Earlier, Igor Leshchenya told this program that more people in the government should be speaking out.
I'm astonished to see myself as maybe the only more or less high-ranking Belarusian official, both abroad and inside the country, who publicly, openly condemned this violence.
What about the international response? As you know, the European Council is meeting today. The EU is preparing sanctions. What do you want to see come out of today?
I am against economic sanctions. It did not work with Saddam Hussein. It does not work with the Gaza Strip. It did not work with Belarus. Economic sanctions influence people. Of course, there should be moral, there should be political support. But namely, the Belarusians themselves should undertake decision. They should solve this issue.
Do you think that all this pressure is going to lead to imminent change in Belarus, or is the government and the president, are they going to dig in and ride it out?
Now we face very critical developments. From one side, as I just mentioned, there is unprecedented people's movement. From other side, there is no definite leader. Do you know why I'm the only official who made such statements? The matter is that government bureaucrats, they're very cautious persons. I know definitely a lot of voices of support, but government bureaucrats, but a lot of representatives of military, they are eager to see a definite connection between workers at strikes and between persons themselves as a leader, as a national leaders.
Given that for the moment you are the only top official to speak out, as you've said, are you concerned for your own safety, the safety of your family? What are your immediate plans personally?
Of course, I'm concerned. Of course, I have fears, and the same fears have all governmental employees. As a person who made such statement, now I go to nowhere. Very few workers in my foreign ministry followed me. Of course, I have fears. I know definitely that I will be fired. I know definitely that I face difficulties to find job under this regime. I have fears, but I crossed my Rubicon. But not everybody official will cross such Rubicon. Governmental officials, they want to see definite connection between mass movement, between strikes committee, and between the leaders of civic society. Absence of this connection means that the unique possibility to express people's will be wasted.
Do you think you can go back to Belarus now?
Not can, I should. Definitely, I will come back to Belarus. I made my statement not in order to ask for some political asylum. I made my statement to express my civic position.
Igor Leshchenya.